Hello and welcome to Chapter 11, where we're going to talk about curriculum and what you need to know as a leader of a school about curriculum. If you are purchasing curriculum, you need to make sure that the curriculum that you're purchasing is actually curriculum and not just activity packets, and that it matches that educational goals that we talked about way at the beginning. What is your educational philosophy for yourself and for your program? So go back, revisit your educational philosophy before you start looking at curriculum. Whether you use a packaged curriculum, whether you use a learning system such as Montessori, or whether you create a hybrid curriculum where the teachers work within a framework to create the weekly, monthly lesson plans, all of those are fine, but you need to make a decision as to which one of those you're going to do, either for the school as a whole or classroom by classroom. More programs use the hybrid method where they have some framework and the teachers get to personalize the curriculum based on the interests of that group of children, the teacher's interest, and the needs of the kids. So a good curriculum needs to do all those things. It needs to address the different areas of development. It needs to address self-help skills, cognitive skills, fine motor, gross motor, verbal skills, and various different cognitive skills. Now, what does this look like in an infant room versus what does it look like for a school-age summer program? Radically different. So what do you, as the director, need to know? You need to know the high points of development in each of those areas, and you need to know how to support your staff. How do we do that? If someone has never created a lesson plan before, you give them sample lesson plans based on prior teachers in that group or ones you buy from Teachers Pay Teachers. Or if you're using one of the frameworks, they probably have some samples as well, like Creative Curriculum has some sample lesson plans to use in various different areas. So we support our staff in curriculum. That means we have to buy resources for them to use. There are giant books full of 101 things to do at circle time in a toddler classroom and things like that. Those are excellent resources. So if you look in the workbook in Chapter 11, you'll see various different ways that people lay out lesson plans. So if you've never done a lesson plan for any age group other than maybe the one that you were a teacher in, or you've never seen one because you come to this industry as a parent or as an office manager and you never needed to pay attention to that, go through and look at those. And there are lesson plans that are theme-based for programs that like to do theme-based. There are lesson plans that are open-ended, based entirely on goals. There's just a variety in there. We don't have infant lesson plans in there. These are mostly toddler or preschool or school age type. If you need a sample of an infant lesson plan, please feel free to reach out to me, Carrie@texasdirector.org. I'll be happy to send you one. So we help them to do that. They need to create the curriculum, or you need to purchase a curriculum, as we've said. What is a curriculum? A curriculum has three elements: goals, assessment, and activities. It's a cycle. They can start at any one of those places, but they need to have all three for it to be considered curriculum. Because if we don't know what it is we're looking for, we've got no way to assess whether they've achieved it, and we have no way to come up with what activities are good. If we start with activities and then we use that to figure out where the kids are and set goals based on where they are, again, we can start at any one of the three places and just move on to the next, but it needs to have all three. Other things to think about as a director when looking at helping our staff with curriculum is that the curriculum needs to focus on child-led activities at least 50% of the time. Some teachers, whether new or experienced, want to have more instructor-led activities in their lesson plan. This will not generate the best results. It is not best practices. There should be about 50% that is child-led. What does this mean? This means you put out an assortment of activities or of things to glue and cut in the art center. And the goal is that they're going to cut and glue. And say the theme is owl. Okay, have a stuffed owl on the table as an inspiration for those kids as they are cutting and gluing different things. In a toddler class, they're probably going to have a harder time with that activity. So perhaps the teacher cuts out an owl shape, puts contact paper on it, and there's things for the kids to rip or cut and stick onto the contact paper. Those kinds of things. It is child-led, but they can still have some input, but how the kids interact with the materials is up to the kids. More things need to be focused on process versus product. If you are interested in hearing more about process versus product art, we have a podcast episode on that. I will add it to the links for this video or for this unit. Support your staff in their curriculum. You need to understand it so that you can sell it to the parents when you are doing tours, when you are talking to your existing clientele about what is happening in their classroom. The curriculum should also go along with any field trips in or field trips out. That is another place where you, as the director, have a huge impact on curriculum. In the summer, we might want to take kids out on field trips, whether school age or preschool. A lot of programs do a pumpkin festival, or they go to a pumpkin stand with the kids, their older kids, in the fall. So having a couple of field trips throughout the year, whether walking or driving, is a great way to enhance curriculum. If you don't have transportation easily available, then we try to find walking field trips, or we try to find field trips in. You can have an organization that does a pumpkin patch, bring pumpkins to your school. You can do the same type of activities you would do at a pumpkin patch, but at your school, they just get their cut plus maybe a transportation fee. You can have petting zoos come in, you can have pediatricians, you can have dentists, you can have cooks, chefs at local restaurants come in, you can walk to those also. Grocery stores, any type of interesting to kids profession is a great field trip in. I know in a young 3s, older 2s classroom, having the trash man and the recycle man come into your program, or lady, is always a big hit, right? Having the people who help with that is a big hit into your program. So you don't need to spend millions of dollars on curriculum. You don't even need to spend thousands of dollars on curriculum, buying purchased curriculum. You can, that is your choice. And if you want to be using a Becca or one of the other 20, 30 Mother Goose, Frog Street curriculums, you can, and it is a way to support your staff, but it is not required. And if you've done that, or if your program has done that for years and years, you can probably take a break and go back and look at the ones you've got from earlier years and recreate them. That is something you can do to keep your financial resources better under your control. Make sure that you talk to your staff about what they're actually teaching. What are the goals of their activities? They may have a cute, adorable activity that the kids love, but is there a learning goal with that? If there isn't a learning goal, ask them, what could you have assessed? What could you tell about the kids after they did this? They might get a great pre-writing activity off of Pinterest, or a great infant texture play activity off of Pinterest. What can we tell from what the kids did with that activity? Use it as an assessment tool, or use it as a planning tool to make sure that we are supporting the development of the kids in their class. So that is the big picture on curriculum. Our job is to purchase support for our staff, whether those are books or courses or entire curriculum kits. It is our job to ensure that our staff are actually doing the things in the lesson plan, that they are implementing lesson plans, and that when they do, they are thinking of the learning, the development that is being supported by those lesson plans. So don't spend more money than you can afford. Do spend some money. And if you don't feel like you're a curriculum expert, find resources, find mentors, use Teachers Pay Teachers, use conferences, use other places to get resources to support your staff in curriculum development. Okay, so go on in, look at those different types of lesson plans in your workbook, and I'll see you in the next video.